Hello. In this video, I will be sharing with you my planning routine and how I incorporate my digital calendar into my paper planning routine, which I share a lot about my paper planners, but not so much my digital side. So I think this would be rather interesting. It is currently 9 a.m. and I just showered, so that's why my hair is like this. But yeah, let's get started. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen. I know this is like a really weird angle, but I get a lot of questions about whether I incorporate digital planning into my routine, and I definitely do. I have been using my Google Calendar consistently every single week for several years now. However, the way I use it is a lot different from when I was, for example, in school. So this is what it looks like currently, but I will actually show you what my Google Calendar looked like when I do have lectures in school. All right, so this is September 2021, and it's just like a random week that I pulled up, and this is generally what my digital planner looked like. My workouts were like really random because I revolved it around my school schedule. I planned out when I did problem sets. I even had like a recurring thing about calling my mom and dad, and overall it was just pretty chaotic. Back to present day, as you can see, it is a lot less crazy, and that is because I no longer use my Google Calendar to meticulously plan out every hour of every day anymore. So this top section is things that aren't dedicated to a certain hour, and what I plan here are my gym sessions or my runs. I do this to ensure that I can have at least 1 or 2 runs every week, along with a gym session dedicated to lower body, an upper body push day, an upper body pull day, and then I also do either cardio or just some sort of rest day. I also mark in other things like when my sister and my brother-in-law comes over for dinner or when I meet up with friends. So all of my personal stuff is color-coded gray, and then this really pretty turquoise color I use for the Coffee Monsters Co. So I mark in when things are being delivered. So we have like washi tapes and subscription items, and then also things like ending a fundraiser, or if there's a sale or new release, I put it up here. And then in the hour by hour section, I don't do too much, again, just because I use my paper planners a lot more, but I do mark in all of Sophia's shifts nowadays. Sophia is my virtual assistant. Her hours are really flexible, so I want to ensure that I have notes prepared and instructions, etc. So her color is yellow. For Instagram, I use orange, and for Instagram, I generally post every other day. It's not like a hard and fast rule, but it's just a pattern that came about. And I don't post at exactly 2 p.m., but it's generally around like noon to 3 p.m. around that time. So I just have it here so I can mark in whatever I'm posting. And then this kind of periwinkle blue color I use for Facebook, and these are just posts for the Facebook group. And today I will be posting I will be gathering feedback for the 2024 monthly kits, and I plan on posting this in the Facebook group as well as on Instagram, so that's why I have 2 of them here. This side is kind of cut off, but I also have red for my YouTube stuff. So this is basically what a typical not really spread, but week in my Google Calendar would look like. It's only Tuesday, so maybe there will be other things added later on, but yeah. This just helps me get an overview of the week, and especially with things like deliveries where sometimes UPS or FedEx, they might have things that are delayed. I can easily move things around, so that's why I like using digital planners for this. Moving on to my paper planners, which I use a lot more often than my digital planner. In the mornings, I typically start off by doing any habit tracking. So here I went into my Fitbit app to see how many steps I got in the day before, just to write it down. And then, as you can see, I already started planning a little bit of Tuesday the night before, and I typically like to do that. I posted about this on Instagram, but lately I've been really into using colored gel pens to distinguish between work and personal stuff. So I'm using the Sarasa Vintage gel pen in this like caramel color, and I'm using this to mark in all of my personal stuff, and then for all of my work stuff I'm just using my Leonardo Momento Magico fountain pen with a black ink to write down all of my work stuff. Using colored gel pens for fun personal things, I feel like that just makes a lot of sense. Anyways, in the weekly section I just planned out a few things in my day, but I do go back and fill it out a lot more. But yeah, here I moved on to the daily section, and I'm using this super fun scenery washi tape. I hauled this in my most recent stationery haul, and I thought it was just so much fun, so I just put that at the top. And then for the left section, I do pretty much the same thing every day. I start off by writing today with my Tombow fudenosuke brush pen, and lately I have been writing down 2 or 3 things that I want to prioritize in the morning, just to kind of keep my mornings productive and also mindful. So I went to the gym, I filmed this video, and also I went grocery shopping for the week. Then I work on writing out my to-do list, and I section my to-do list off in 2 different ways. One way is by separating my work to-dos from my other personal to-dos, and then sometimes I will also section it off by morning, afternoon, and evening, and it honestly just depends on what I need for the day. This is what I love about the Hobonichi cousin. It's super flexible, so I just do whatever I feel like makes sense for the day. And yeah, for this particular day, it made more sense to separate my to-do list based on categories. I then just got started on the day, and that wrapped up my first planning session. A little bit later, I think this was closer to noon, I checked off a few things that I already finished on the to-do list, and I wrote down my first journal entry. And this is typically just a reflection of my morning so far, and also writing in anticipation for the rest of the day. And again, the pen that I'm using here is a fountain pen. This is the Leonardo Momento Magico, and I'm also using the Diatramentis Document Black ink, which is my current favorite black. I think the main subject for this first journaling session was that I wanted to post a survey sort of thing on Instagram and also in my Facebook group, asking for feedback on the 2023 monthly kits and what customers would like to see for 2024. And then after I finished my first journal entry, I also whipped out my pocket bullet journal and I filled in this calendar / monthly kit progress tracker. I finished a bunch of calendars yesterday and also a few on this morning that I was filming, so I just picked out some fun colors and it was super satisfying filling this out. And then moving on to the weekly section, I checked off a few habits I already accomplished that morning, and then I started on my Tuesday entry. I don't use my bullet journal every day, it's just whenever I feel like it. And I get a lot of questions about whether there is an overlap between what I write in my bullet journal and my Hobonichi cousin. There definitely is some overlap sometimes, which I don't mind because it just means I remember what I have to do a lot more since I wrote it twice. But also I do write different things. So for example, here I just wanted to quickly jot down some things I wanted to meal prep, which I did not write about in my Hobonichi cousin. All right, then moving on to my, I think, third planning session for the day. I just quickly filled out my weekly section a little bit more, just because, you know, as the day goes by, I get a better idea of what I need to do. And then I made my second entry in my daily section. This was rather fun. So this was after lunch, and I was very excited because I tried Tabasco sauce for the first time. I don't know why. I was just at the grocery store and I had the idea that I wanted to buy Tabasco. I've never had it before, but I saw it and I was like, I want to try it. And I did buy it. I bought a really small bottle. And so I was making a doodle here and I had it on avocado and scrambled eggs. I think it was suggested on the label actually, so I followed it exactly and it was very good. So this was just a really small, silly thing that I wanted to write about in my planner. And as you can, you know, kind of see, it's very, I don't know, insignificant, I guess, but I just try to look for these little things that bring a little bit of joy and interest into my daily life to write about, and this way every single day feels a lot more exciting. Oh, and something else that I wrote about was that I went to 3 different grocery stores and I could not find Windsor table salt, and so I suspected that there was some sort of salt shortage, which I wanted to look into. Again, something really random, and I did look into it later, and there is indeed a supply issue with Windsor salt, so I felt very satisfied guessing that correctly. All right, and then this was my last planning session. As you can see, it was getting dark outside, so I think it was around 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. It gets dark very late nowadays, so yeah. I started off by filling out a little bit of Wednesday. Again, in the evenings, I sometimes like to plan a little bit of the next day just to get things started. And then I checked off a few more things that I accomplished on this day, and I wrote quite a short journal entry for the evening. And as you can see on the left page, which was the day before, you know, sometimes I don't write as much and I leave a lot of blank spaces. On this day, I just happened to have a lot of thoughts, so that is that. It seems like my neighbor is using a chainsaw or something. But yeah, to end off, I also filled out a little bit of my bullet journal with what I wanted to do for the evening. And that is basically my day of planning. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Bye!